Mr. Stephen Andry, welcome to the Fighting Giants podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Rob? How's
Dude, I
Denver?
it is great out here in Denver outside. We had an incident this week and I thought of you. And
Really? Uh-oh.
it's tough, Stephen. There's so many times in life I'm just going, I should tell this to Stephen. Like really should have notepads ready on the ready. But
You know what? My couch is always available.
and one of my favorite things about this is like free therapy. If and so, but it's funny when we
A
think about
bill's
that. If
coming, my friend.
as the invoice coming still like, do you take HSA? So if you do have questions or thoughts or an idea that you want Steven's input on, or a question on the topics we talk about, like traumatic relationship recovery and support, and what does that look like, feel free to email us, fightinggiantspodcast@gmail.com. Steven takes the questions seriously and privately, and he wants to get you the support you need. So fightinggiantspodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get that to him to take a look at, and whether you respond to the podcast or even just respond in an email to you. If it's something that you need information on, we want to be able to help you guys out here, because that's our big goal here, is to help people out in those issues.
Yeah, we're really trying to help communities heal. This stuff is so pervasive,
Yeah,
so destructive. So let us
yeah.
be a resource.
And so in our past conversations, you always talk about like there needs to be a sometimes like a cast before you can heal. Like you got to get the toxins out of your body first before
Yeah.
the person that has an issue that can recover. So I thought of you in the last couple weeks, because we came home from grocery shopping, my wife and I, and we let our dog out when off leash in our front yard. We're those people, just a little bit, but we're there. But like, the happy tail wag. The dog wants to go see mom. So you do it, and she's out there for usually just a few seconds, and she got away for a few seconds, Steven, and got into the neighbor's yard.
There's a
The neighbor,
punchline coming.
the neighbor's yard. Well, it's not really a punchline, but I thought of you because the neighbor's yard had mouse poison all over to try to get rid of
Oh,
the mouse poison.
no.
The mouse poison was flavored as fish. My
How's the
dog likes
dog?
my dog likes fish, and so she gobbled up all these things that looked like little
Oh,
kibble, but were really poison. So it smelled good to her, tasted good to her. We had to go get her from eating more.
oh no.
So we called poison control then. We're like, how many of these? And luckily the owner of the house was there, and so we were able to get the package, what it was. So we had a lot of information on what she ingested. But then you go, and then so we were able to, poison control is like, yeah, if she had about eight of them is really with her body size, 8 to 9 is really the concern area. So we get her to the vet, and we try to get her to throw up, but we couldn't get her to do it. But we get her to the vet, and the vet's like, we'll go get her throw up. 35 pellets in her body.
Oh.
And so they got the poison out of her, and now she's on it's like a vitamin K supplement for 30 days, just because it's a bloodstream poison. So like the vitamin K is kind of like the antidote. So it's a good thing that we found out what it was. And but like I thought of you, where it's like you got to vomit up the poison sometime to get healthy.
Yes.
And the poison was flavored as something good.
Holy cow.
So, but
That's
Freckles
crazy.
should be fine. Like she's an 11-year-old dog. She's very food motivated, like her dad. So, but she should be
You feeling
fine.
okay?
Yeah, it's
Um,
been a couple weeks. Like we're still in the antidote phase, but like the behavior's fine. There's no precursory signs of
Fortunately, you
issues.
got her to throw all that stuff up. But there is
Yeah, we
such a
got
profound truth there.
yeah, but we got the poison out of her within about 2 hours of her ingesting it.
Hmm.
So we were very fortunate in all the follow up circumstances that we had the information we needed. The vet was able to get in real quick. All the things that lined up
You were
really
paying
well.
attention.
So, but I thought of you because like she ingested poison, but the poison was flavored good, but she didn't know that it was poison. How many times in our life is there something that we're going, oh, this isn't really bad. It actually tastes good in the moment,
It's
but you ingest.
incredibly relevant to what we're doing here with this podcast, isn't it? The
Yeah.
poison of the pornography and the poison of the sexual misconduct, the
Yep.
lies we have ingested or more than 35 around this junk. And the
Oh yeah,
reality is it's destroying everything from individuals to marriages to families to churches, communities, work, right?
hmm,
So we've got this whole Fighting Giants nonprofit we've started with this podcast, with the shorts. And the goal is really we've got these three big Goliaths we're after. And one of the stones we're using is this idea of pulling out the truth and getting
yep,
them to vomit the things they've swallowed, right?
yeah.
But that
Because
does
like
really create healthy.
it's it's amazing where it's like people always use the terminology we gotta love and be nice, but like sometimes making someone vomit is the most loving thing you can do to them, so they
Right.
can get the poison out of their body. And
And
it
what's
was
weird is they don't know they have the poison.
yeah.
Right.
I
It-
promise you, Freckles was she's pawing at her feet to not to go to that back room of the vet. She did not want to go back there. She didn't know what she ingested.
yeah. And
So
that is probably one of the biggest um, non aware spaces that we have ingested. Community culture in general is one of numbing, right?
hmm,
So
yeah,
the idea, like for example, last time we talked about a partner discovering someone's acting out.
yeah,
What we really want to talk into today is when the one with the compulsive behavior realizes the pain that has been inflicted. The lie he swallowed, the poison is this isn't hurting anybody.
hmm,
This is not damaging. Everybody does it. All these certain lies, but they don't realize how it escalates. They don't realize really what's been going on all this time from weeks, months, years, even decades. And we've got so much around that that traps these guys and now women.
I was going to ask you
Hopefully, in
about
the
that.
next podcast or two, we'll get into some of that data. But the
Yeah,
reality is, these guys are swallowing all kinds of lies without even knowing it, all
so when
kinds of
someone
poison.
so when then someone comes in your office and they're the when you say the term discovered, like they're the ones that in legal terms the offender. Is that an okay term to use here? They're the one.
Well, I would use caution around that, though there is a sense where they have offended, but
Yeah.
this is not in the same level as that.
Okay.
So there is I mean, for example, there's such a legal connotation to that piece,
Yeah.
and we want to avoid that.
Okay.
You know,
So, but this is the person that's done the damage in the
has
relationship.
victimized someone without even
Yep.
knowing it.
So then they walk into like, how do you help coach them up to realize what they've done? Like I use the term in like coaching, like what's the sphere of influence you've impacted when you've made a decision? Like if I have a player act out in practice, he has to, apologize to people that were in practice. If he acts out in
Right.
the game, he may have to apologize to parents and part of the student body of something because he acted out and caused, a reputation damage in the bigger sphere.
So the
So like,
bigger
how do you
piece
help?
here is helping them understand why they can't just apologize this away.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the bigger traumas we see inflicted on partners is this place where the guy who has been acting out just says, please forgive me. I won't do it again. Okay. One of the things we want, given especially what Jane shared about this uh, disruption in the partner's life that's going to be there for a while, is we want the guy to acknowledge the pain that's been inflicted, to
Hmm.
see what's really being said. Their partner is hurting. Their partner has been traumatized, and there's a dysregulation we want him to own. This
Hmm.
isn't about her or him. This isn't about the marriage. It's about the choice of the individual to act out in this way. And we want them to own that in truth. We want them to move forward and just say, I have just hurt you in ways you didn't even know. And yeah, it's about me and I need to own it.
Hmm. No,
So
that's
the depth of that goes pretty broad. So,
Yeah, they hit a they've influenced a lot in that decision when they thought it was just an internal decision. There's the sphere of influence is much larger than what most of those of the
Right.
discovered realize.
Well, and the guy doesn't realize the damage that's just been done. When a partner has discovered they're acting out, all of a sudden the partner's aware that they've been keeping secrets. And those secrets devastate all the realities, anniversaries, birthdays, all that kind of stuff. So there's also a place where she is now deathly afraid of what other secrets are out there.
Mm.
We want him to own that, not
Okay.
start giving high details, just validate the pain. Even if he starts saying, here's everything I've been doing, and he does this data dump,
Hmm.
she's not going to believe it. And we can't then start forcing her to say, look, I'm telling you everything. Because she's just not, because you've kept secrets for a while. There is a place we do, it's called a formal disclosure, which is preparing both parties to hear the truth, to move into that place of no secrets. But there are ways we do that professionally. These places where people sit down at the kitchen table and say, here's everything I've been doing. You're basically sticking a knife in that partner, and they start bleeding out because their nervous system's not going to trust that. They're not going to believe that that's all. You've lied in the past. Why would I know you're telling the truth now? And stop demanding that I believe you're telling me the truth. Plus, they
Yeah.
don't feel enough. The partner doesn't feel enough for that guy who's been acting out. You just told me you need other women or other men, depending on who the one acting out is. We don't want to
So
minimize the fact that women are doing this too.
so how do you help coach the guy up? Well, the the one discovered to help understand the damage they've done. Like, how do you help them see, like, hey, it's
Well, the
not just
reality
about
is
me.
he's never going to understand.
Really?
No. How can you understand when you're the one who did the betraying, not the one who was betrayed? We can't, I don't understand the pain of that partner
Hmm.
because I've never been in that situation.
Hmm.
I think that's one of the other myths out there that we can understand another's pain. The reality is, if both of you and I were betrayed,
Hmm.
it's still going to feel different. There will be strong similarities because we can leverage that for healing. But you have a different story than I do. You're married to someone different. You live in a different place. You've had different life situations, different family of origin. So those things also play into it. There are core truths. It's from there we start to build from that.
No, it's no, it's interesting to think about. So then, would the term be like they can show some type of empathy for the pain they've caused, where they may not
Yes.
understand it, but they go, "There's a when you're hurting and you don't trust me, I can understand why you don't trust me now."
I can see the pain, hon, is the comment. Look, we want to teach them to learn to see what's really being said. Well, tell me everything. Tell me everything. She wants detail after detail. He wants detail after detail, whoever it is. What's really going on there is they want the pain to go away. We want the
Oh,
guy who's betrayed, who's done the betraying, to see that pain. Say, honey, I can't make this go away. I'm sorry I did it, and I don't expect you to forgive me right now. I have to earn that trust back. My partner has a really powerful statement: consistent, predictable behavior over time.
mm,
That's what requires the ability to trust. In my whole world, when we use the terms to love, to trust, to forgive, for me, they're continuums.
mm,
So for him to earn the trust back is going to take time. There are areas he still has her trust. He can take out the trash. He can pick up the kids. But you leverage those places to build trust in the others, especially around their sexuality.
no, that's interesting to think about where like the damage is done and where you can start building trust back up. Then how do you help create that process of the trust building back up for the discovered with with their spouse?
First of all, you help get them both support and
Okay.
you acknowledge what they have just discovered. Don't go crazy making, don't deny, don't do gaslighting. Those are all
Hmm.
topics we'll get to later as to defining those more
Hmm.
broadly. But the idea of validating what she's found and then getting each other the help to start saying, yeah, there's stuff here and it's not about you. These are my poor choices. And I'm sorry because it's really kind of traumatized you into a place where you feel like a poor choice. Because I've told you through the porn or the affair or the other more extensive levels of the addiction, including prostitution and one night stands and hookups and stuff like that, that I've needed more than you. And that's devastating to you, honey, and I'm sorry.
Mm,
That is not about you. That's my junk. That's my crap.
wow.
And just
Like,
owning that.
yeah. Do you see is that how that process of getting the discovered to start owning that and start seeing that is that I gotta imagine that's not always like day one. That's a process as well for them to realize this is what the needs they've wanted, healthy or unhealthy, more unhealthy in that situation. It's like they probably didn't start like the idea is like in cheating. It doesn't happen typically like, hey, I'm gonna, it's, I gotta, it's gonna happen randomly. It's like there's the minor steps that go there to get you the. We used to call them suds, seemingly unimportant decisions. It's like,
Well, there are those spaces where it's the decisions they make early will have an effect, and often as a level of denial and refusal and stuff like that.
mhm,
One of the goals is to give that partner permission to grieve.
mm,
And the reality is it's going to look like depression sometimes and anger and denying that this is happening. And it's really a very painful, tedious process. And it is very uncomfortable to go through alone.
mm,
Would never really recommend that.
absolutely.
They need support groups, they need a good therapist, and one who knows what they're doing. This is a highly specialized area. Not every or any therapist can do it. I get it. There are many wonderful therapists out there, but not all of them are trained in this area.
One of our big ideas with this podcast, Stephen, is to sort of let people know, like, because like the damage is done, the person's discovered, but then we also want to take away the myths of like the bad advice, the bad counselor,
Right.
whether it's a counselor, a pastor. The intentions are good; they want to help, but intentions doesn't mean results. Like I intend to lose
Right.
weight, but I'm still going to the donut store. Is
Because it's based on bad advice,
correct.
bad information, unhealthy information. And one of the flip sides of that is we want to create a hope that there is a process, that we know what we're doing. And those that don't know what they're doing fail that process because they don't know how to walk with the suffering.
Hmm.
So, for example, there was a church recently in our area that had a really powerful sex series. And from what I understand, there were some really wonderful things about it. But there were a couple of comments made that I know activated some of its parishioners because they had been in treatment with more healthy, appropriate information. The beauty is the church was able to hear that. But a couple of those is that you can get over this addictive behavior in 21 days. Not going to work, right? As well as the partner just needs to forgive. No, we've got to help them heal in the process of forgiving. And it's not as simple as that. So there's so much involved in this on both sides. The ultimate, though, and here's the hope part, while I wouldn't wish this on anybody, it creates opportunity for deeper levels of connection that neither of them had, and it creates a process of work they would probably have never done. Through that healing, you create higher levels of connection. Don't
No,
want that on anybody. I wish more people would go get that work without having this, but there is a very strong silver lining.
is that kind of reminds me? Like I've heard stories, and you may have more information on this than I do. Is like when like a couple loses a child or a death in the family, it can either bring the couple really together or it pulls them apart. Is that kind of the same concept you're talking there? With like there's a traumatic issue, and if you have
Absolutely. The
the right
one thing
support,
is obviously not that level losing a child. The
yeah,
pain is different.
Yeah.
But there is a way at which how the community comes around them, people with support come around them, that can make a significant difference in whether or not the two separate or come together,
Hmm.
right? And that process is critical for that first 6 to 12 months, especially.
Hmm.
It's in those moments that we really get, okay, we've got to stabilize this. We've got to have this kind of commitment to honesty. Look, this isn't going to be a quick fix. This isn't really a fix it place, it's a heal it place, and it's going to take some time. And you're not alone. We are there for you. We are going to help you. We're going to be walk with you in this, as well as here some additional community, others that have been there that can help you heal. And we need
No,
that.
it's amazing the power of people that have gone through something similar to walk beside you while you're going through the same thing, or something. So
Hmm.
like you said, nothing's exactly the same, but there's always those similarities, which always make that community. And I think you've mentioned this in past conversations or podcasts. I can't keep track when we're recording or not, Stephen. We talk so much. So, but the idea, but the idea is like when you have that person that has had a similar experience to be able to walk beside you through it. It's like so when
Why?
you're going through it, know that part of your healing
Yeah.
process is going to be helping someone else out that's going through something similar to give
Yes.
back
Why?
what you've learned.
Because you just, through you, like if I have gone through that, if I have been through an addictive situation, if I have helped myself and done process to help heal, and now you're in that, you can borrow my hope because you've seen that I've done it. It's not a do what I say. It's an idea that my life has actually shown you that we can survive this.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that we bring to our practice at Intact is this idea that pretty much most of the people have been through trauma or hurting, and it's a place of authenticity they bring into the counseling room. I'm not going to deny that I've struggled with this addictive behavior. And my clients see that, and I'm passionate about healing others because I know what it's like to walk in that healing and to be in the other side of this.
No, absolutely. If you have questions or thoughts on this, if this is something that you want to dig in deeper or have, you want to, feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah.
FightingGiantsPodcast at
You guys need
gmail.com.
resources, any of that.
Yeah, there's so much more to it than what we can cover in a 20-25 minute podcast. So if there's something you need or a question and be pointed in the right direction, feel free to reach out. We want to be there to be able to help support you. We'll get you in touch with Steven and his team of people that can help you out. And we can't wait to be able to share your story of success or hear your story of success afterwards too.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting when we get some of those coming in.
I can't wait. Those are the fun times when you see, and it's the long game, isn't it? I think when you talk about that 21-day program, or you hear that with some like recovery things and like processes, which there may be a good, cleansing there that needs to take place, or things that get you going in the right direction, and not, but it's playing the long game on this. It's not the
Yes.
hey, you'll get here's an antidote, you'll be fine in a few weeks. It's a life process.
Yeah. And then it's that person helping another person.
Yep.
It's the multiplication effect, right?
Right.
I long for that. That's why we're doing this.
Yep. It's easier to fight giants when you got a group behind you, right?
It is. David had his army in the back, right?
Right. So it's always it's an interest. By the way, what I was thinking about this as you were talking is like with the when like what the as a typical guy, if I upset my wife and you're like in that moment, you're like you have to have empathy and understand what not to say is just don't say calm down. I've learned that.
Right.
Oh.
No, no, or it's no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Like it's like I always joke. It's like I could be like a cage fighting UFC women's like coach. Like just calm down. Just calm down.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Just calm down. It's no big deal. Everybody does it. No, those don't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. So, but Stephen, really appreciate
What
the
an
time
honor.
today. And so, is there anything as we wrap this up that you just want to put a bow on it with?
I really like how you mentioned how much we care about those who listen to this.
Hmm.
Just know that that's at the heart of this whole process, and that anyone who is listening out there, we care about you, even though we haven't met you. You're important to us.
Absolutely. So, so thank you for listening once again. Fighting Giants Podcast at gmail.com. We'll put it in the description. Feel free just to click on there, find it, and love to help you out any weekend. So thank you for listening, Stephen. Till next time.
I can't wait. More
Absolutely.
great topics.